UConn just won their second national championship in a row, and they did it in unbelievable fashion. They won their 6 tournament games by an average of 33 points a game. There's no arguing that their offense is probably one of the best that we've seen in decades, and we're going to break it down in this video. And to do that, we're going to look at some of their go-to actions, why their offense is so innovative, and how they control the pace. But before we look at that, here's a word from our sponsors. Coaches, if you're looking for a new customizable board, then HoopsKing is the place for you. Their website is easy to navigate, and you can customize your board down to the most personal details. And having a 2-sided feature will allow you to keep track of everything that you need to come game time. And you can select your line options. So whether you're in high school, college, or the NBA, there's a board just for you, which is one of the reasons the Los Angeles Lakers purchased their boards from HoopsKing. And I can personally guarantee you that the logo that you customize on the website will look exactly the same way in person, if not better. And they guarantee swift delivery, so you'll have your new board within 10 days of ordering. The link to their website is in the description, or just type in HoopsKing.com. If you watched UConn in the tournament, they picked defenses apart, and their offense looks extremely complicated, but the truth is they have 3 primary actions in their offense: staggers, zoom action, and pindowns. So we're going to look at all 3 of these and see how Coach Hurley uses them in his system to keep teams guessing and moving around constantly. So the first is a stagger screen. Some people might call it a double stagger. And this is where you're going to have 2 players, typically post players, set a screen staggered away from each other for somebody to come off and try and gain an advantage. The goal is always to get this defender hung up on one of these 2 screens, and if he's not open on the catch, they like to flip it right into a ball screen with their 5-man and get downhill. And they use these staggers in a lot of different situations. Here they're going to start with a stagger screen into a fake ball screen so that they can run this baseline runner off of a stagger, and the whole purpose is to get Klingen's man to 3/4 on the top side so that they can throw it over the top for a post up. And what you're going to see in this video is they like to run these actions 1 or 2 times every game to see if they can create easy buckets, which against Purdue they did. And they also run these staggers off of baseline out of bounds plays, which creates a lot of confusion for the defense. And the other place you see these staggers is off of what's referred to as a shuffle stagger. So that diagonal back screen is to send the guard to the block, and then they're going to turn it into a stagger for the guy in the corner. And in this particular play, it was designed to get the ball into Donovan Klingen in the post. The next primary concept that they do is what's referred to as zoom action, and I think they get the most mileage out of this concept. A zoom is any time the guy receiving the ball is going to come off of a down screen and a dribble handoff. So when you hear zoom, think down screen to DHO. And this is a popular action that a lot of people are running, and UConn does it so well because they know how to make reads off of it. And zoom action can either be run from the wing, or it can be run through the middle third of the court like you see right here, and that's typically referred to as gut zoom. Now the thing I want you to understand is what makes this action so difficult to guard. The reason why it's tough is that most defenders are going to chase this guy off of the handoff so he can't shoot it, but as soon as he does that, it puts a lot of stress on this help defender where he has to guard the big rolling to the rim and the ball. So you just watch a guard go straight downhill for a layup, and then in this clip, you're going to see Zach Edey try and stay in front of the ball, and he gives up a lob for a dunk. Now the third concept you'll see a lot in their offense is pindowns, or what some people might refer to as down screens. And they really like to run these for their shooter, Cam Spencer. Now, a lot of people run pindowns in their offense and they don't always get open shots. But the way Dan Hurley has designed his offense has created so many open looks, and I want to show you how he does it. For starters, Cam Spencer rarely ever just comes off a pin down at the beginning of the play. He will run all the way around the court before he gets into the pin down that he's trying to take advantage of, and if somebody chases him off because they don't want him to shoot it, he is so good at curling, getting the advantage, and then playing that big. And they also run a lot of pin downs for their stretch 4 Alex Caravan, who can also come off and knock down shots even if they're contested. So as we start to talk about how innovative Coach Hurley is in his offense, we'll stick with this concept of pin downs because everybody runs them, so what's so unique about UConn? One thing that Dan Hurley does is he will run Cam Spencer off of a pin down, and then they will have him curl a second time or double curl around the same player to create that advantage. Now this is some stuff that they would do for Steph Curry. Most people aren't coming off of a down screen or a pin down and then curling to the middle of the court and going off of another one, but they run this for Cam Spencer a lot, and it's to create these advantages and these bad closeouts. And because Spencer has such a high IQ, he's not a one-trick pony. He's not always going to shoot it or drive it. He's going to read the closeout and act accordingly. And their whole team is constantly making good decisions like this. Here you're going to see this double curl into a give and go that was organic and not predetermined. And another place that they get into these pin downs is off of stagger screens. So at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see this stagger coming right here, but Alex Caravan, instead of going off both, is going to curl the first one, which is typically referred to as a twirl action, and then the guard is going to come off of this single pin down. He gets a bad closeout and he gets downhill. And you'll see this exact same action run against San Diego State right here for a catch and shoot three. And because Dan Hurley is a mastermind, they set this play up to make it look exactly the same, like they were going to run this twirl, and it actually turns into a back screen for a lob. But the thing that separates Coach Hurley's offense from almost everybody else is that he runs multiple actions in the same set. So here it looks like they're going to run this gut zoom action that we talked about earlier and then try and score off of it like most people would. But right after that gut zoom, they're going to clear this guy out, and then they're going to run a concept referred to as Horn's Flare, which a lot of people run on its own, and that's how they get this rhythm shot for Alex. So ultimately what happens is they just wear teams down. You're going to have to guard an action, and then you're going to have to guard another action. And if it's not open, they're going to continue to play until they get a good shot. And they do this all throughout their offense. So we talked earlier about this shuffle stagger concept, where you're going to see the shuffle screen here into the stagger screen, where most teams are going to catch it and try and score it immediately. But UConn will go straight into what's called a Spain action, where the big is going to set a middle ball screen, and then their shooter is going to yo-yo or roll replace at the same time, which is something a lot of people run, but they mix these actions together. So you'll see it on this play, it's the same thing. Here's your shuffle stagger concept, and then when they catch it at the top, they go right into this Spain action. And that's what makes them so hard to stop, is they're so unpredictable. You just saw them run shuffle stagger into a Spain action, and now when they get to that exact same spot that looks like Spain, now they're going to do what's referred to as a ram screen, where they set a down screen for a guy to come up, and it turns into a post ISO right in the middle of the court for Donovan Clingan. It's the exact same setup, but they end up running something different off of it, which keeps the defense off balance. So just in case you're not overwhelmed yet, let me show you one more concept that they run out of this shuffle action. And keep in mind, all of these clips are just from the tournament games alone. So what they did against Illinois is off of this shuffle cut, they threw him the ball, and then they came and set this really low angled ball screen, which is sometimes referred to as a snug screen, which is also very difficult to guard. Now, if you've been on social media anywhere, this is the play that everybody is talking about that is probably one of the more innovative plays that you're going to see. They start by faking this step-up screen with Cam Spencer, and then he's going to come off of a flare, but the 5-man stands in this corner, and because he's not a shooter, that means his defender will usually be in the paint. So they're going to skip the ball to him and run this zoom action towards the corner that's actually a decoy for this man to run all the way from the corner around for a handoff and a shot. So it starts by looking like Horn's Flare, and then it has a fake zoom concept to it that goes to the corner and ultimately results in an open shot or a bad closeout for the man running all the way across for this handoff. And they're good enough that if they don't have a shot, they're gonna make a play off of the bad closeout. But what makes this play so epic is they know teams are going to scout for Newton running off of this flare, so they slip the flare man to the basket, and they got 2 wide open dunks in the tournament off of this same action. So even inside of this complex offense, players know how to make reads. On this step up, they don't do a good job of staying in front of the ball, so he gets straight downhill for a layup. And then watch what they do on this play. As they skip the ball, the DHO isn't open, so they organically get into a zoom concept. Cam gets downhill, there's a 45 cut and extra pass for a wide open dunk. And what made them special this year is their ability to control the pace of the game. Coach Hurley's ability to get this team to work for the best available shot is unmatched. Watch what they force the defense to have to defend in one possession, and I'll talk you through it. Here's a shuffle stagger with a twirl into a down screen touch back to Spencer, into a veer action. He doesn't have a shot, so he drives the closeout. He hits the pinch post and basket cuts. It turns into a DHO, and at the end of the shot clock with 3 seconds left, they give up a layup. And watch this possession from the national championship. It starts the same way with a shuffle stagger twirl. They're going to get into the same touch. Then they're going to run another stagger twirl. The ball's eventually going to get to Klingon, and he's going to go into a double zoom action that turns into a paired side ball screen. They attack the big and drop coverage and throw the shake for a catch and shoot 3 with 2 left on the clock. And the root of what makes this all possible is that even with 7 seconds left on the shot clock, they never panic and they never get sped up. They drive a closeout, force help, drive that closeout, and end up getting an alley-oop dunk with 1 second left on the clock. But the thing that was scary about this team is that they could use an entire clock to get a dunk, or they could go right into an early ball screen and get the exact same look early in the clock. Or they could come down in transition and run a double drag shallow concept and get a catch and shoot 3 before you even knew you were on defense. So if anybody needed an argument that playing team basketball wins games or championships, here it is. Hey, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that button so you can get all the rest of my content. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.